Hello, everybody. It's happy Tuesday morning. We're going to review a little bit of football from last weekend. Let's take a look at the NFC North, and the reason we're doing that is that there's a Thursday game between the Packers and the Bears. That's an NFC North game. Minnesota, Detroit, and Green Bay are all tied at 2-1, and the Bears are at the bottom of it, 1-2. They played reasonably decent football, but the injuries, of course, on these teams that are thin and not backed up very well with great talent behind their frontline players are not going to last very long. The Packers, of course, have dominated the NFC North for a long time. I mean, 45-22 ATS in their last 67 versus the NFC North, and the Green Bay total in these games goes over. In the last 16 games, it's been over 13-3. Over is 27-11 in Bears' last 38 games following a straight-up win. Green Bay is, when you have Aaron Rodgers and you compare that to the other quarterbacks in the league, he's a champion, and he's a great player. He's great instincts. He has fun doing out there. He knows what he's doing. He knows how to win. That's not necessarily the case with a Glennon, who's really in his first year as a starter. The Bears are thin. The line in this game is pretty large. You're looking at the game opens 7.5. Now, when you get to those kind of numbers, most of the sharp players are going to start to look to take 7.5 because these games tend to, especially division games, they tend to stay rather close and very competitive. I don't know that to be the case here, but the Bears did play pretty well last week. They handled the Steelers, and Green Bay played well as well, but now they're home. And the line has come down from 7.5 to 7 minus 15. Some other places you're looking at 7.5 plus 11, which means that the dog is a little bit of the favorite at 7.5. So the sharp money has come in definitely on the Chicago Bears. The total 45.5, and it's pretty well stayed there. It hasn't moved much at all. So it's early in the week. Line movement doesn't really matter that much. There's a lot of college moves. I won't get into that because of time restraints. But when you look down here, New Orleans opened 2 up to 3. You're not looking too much of a difference there. A little bit on the under from 50 down to 49. Dallas, coming off their victory last night, is 7.5. Tennessee went from 1.5 to 2. The total stayed pretty much the same. There hasn't been a lot of movement this week. I mean, we're into week 4, so they can set pretty solid lines now. Atlanta opened 8.5, went to 8. Another place opened at 8, went to 7.5. So there's a little bit of Buffalo money there. Tampa Bay opened 4 or 4.5. It's down to 3. So the Giants are getting money, even though they're 0-3 and not. But they did make a good comeback in the second half of that game against Philadelphia. But now they're 0-3, coming off a division game to going to a non-division game on the road. That's a tough spot. Philadelphia at the Chargers, and the game is Chargers won or pick. Chargers are a mess. I mean, they just make so many turnovers. They don't get much of a home field advantage at all. Arizona, boy, I don't know. Arizona, their offensive line is pathetic. They opened 7. It's right there right now. And Denver against Oakland. Denver's home. 2.5's the line. I don't see much. There's a couple threes, but not much of it. Seattle 13.5, pretty much stayed the same. So that's your opening line report with a little bit of look at the Thursday game. Next Monday, we've seen some 7s on Kansas City, but I've seen it also go down to 6.5. So there's a little bit of Washington Redskin money there. And we'll talk to you a little bit later in the week. We have a show coming up tomorrow. We'll post it. And have a good day.